For In Motion, I'm Kurt Parker. It's usually a single idea that spurs change, and learning institutions like Penn State are frequently at the forefront and have a rich tradition of being the impetus for that change. But there's another tradition in the U.S. that holds a special place as an incubator for new ideas, and they have done this very diligently for more than 200 years. Newspapers in this country have called for revolution, questioned its leaders, even exposed an American president in an illegal activity that led to his downfall. They have become so entrenched in our lives to this point, we refer to them empirically as the Fourth Estate. But a peculiar trend is threatening the role that newspapers play in our lives. Newspapers across the country are all facing the same problem: declining readership. For years, newspapers in the U.S. have reported a steady decrease in the number of people who choose to get their information from national and local dailies. Beyond the obvious problem of surviving and thriving, many people are concerned about a growing disconnect in what it means to simply pick up and read a daily newspaper.
The single most important thing, in my opinion, that people can do in our society to be informed and to be good citizens is to read a daily newspaper. Newspapers have a special place in our society because they have the ability to go into a level of depth that we wouldn't necessarily see in those other media. So newspapers are readily available every day. You know that they're coming to your doorstep, or they're going to be at a certain spot where you can pick them up. You know there's going to be a certain level of coverage. There's going to be continuity from one day to the next. And I would never argue that that's the only way to get your news, but I think it's a very important way.
The newspaper is your community news. They are a resident now of Center County, and our newspaper will be local news for them because everything that happens in Center County in the time that they're here is going to could impact them, and they'll find out about their community through the newspaper.
Penn State President Graham Spanier committed the university to being a part of the solution that would turn this trend around. But first, the question had to be answered: why are fewer people picking up a newspaper?
Well, I think like most of us, students are extremely busy individuals. They're running here, there, and everywhere. They've been brought up on television. They've been brought up with all kinds of technology that those things weren't really as available in my time. And so I think it's not that they have been uninformed. It's just that they've been getting their news, their information from a broader array of sources and at much different times.
So if it isn't an aversion to newspapers, then maybe the answer rested in putting the newspapers into the hands of the students, where hopefully they would make a difference.
So we decided to do a survey and find out what the situation was. Only about 15% of Penn State students were reading a newspaper.
With over 40,000 students at University Park and over 80,000 in total, a unique solution to the problem was developed by the president and the team he put together.
And so they decided that a good place to pilot it would be in the residence halls because it's a captive audience, and part of the idea behind the program was to make the newspapers very accessible to students. And we thought that a good place to do that would be in the residence halls as students were entering, exiting the buildings. And so because I ran the residence hall program, I was asked to be involved in the implementation of the pilot.
The students would have their choice of the student newspaper, the Daily Collegian, a local paper, the Center Daily Times, and national papers, USA Today and the New York Times. Distribution boxes were set up on campus, and the only thing someone needed to obtain any or all of the newspapers was a valid student identification card.
Now that the program's in place, we have about 75% of our students reading a newspaper.
We all, and it's everybody really wants to get more readership from the young people, availability of the newspaper to just learn more about their community and follow what's going on in their community and participate in their community. Decisions are going to be made out there, and they should be a part of that decision-making process. And how are they going to find out? They need to find out through the reporting in the newspaper.
We would like people coming out of high school to come to Penn State and to get into a habit of reading a newspaper each day, making them better students, better informed, better citizens, better leaders in their community, people who can participate more knowledgeably in the democratic process of this country. And we want them to carry that right through into adulthood and through their lives. Penn State can play a very important role in making that happen.
Whoa, 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 we're not done yet. Great, a problem arose, we applied a little Penn State know-how to it, problem solved, right? Well, not quite. You see, in solving one challenge, the president and his team kinda created another. 39,000 newspapers would suddenly be injected into the campus system, and Penn State physical plant would have to make some sort of accommodation for all that new trash that would be created. Or is trash the right word?
I was actually invited to the early meetings. President Spanier had already described what he wanted the program to be as far as newspapers and our students and so on. And my part of it was, what are you going to do with 39,000 newspapers weekly coming on our campus? And I had made the recommendation that an infrastructure had to be put in place. We just couldn't absorb that many papers. We'd have a litter issue and so on.
Penn State has been recycling as part of university operations since the late 1980s. But with the proposed influx of newspapers, physical plant became more aggressive with their efforts to capture what would normally end in the waste stream.
When we started originally, we distributed the newspapers on a test basis through the residence halls. So we put the papers right on the floor at the ground floor entrance of every building on campus. And what we found was that we had a tremendous problem with newspapers being left all over the place. So we decided to have a recycling program. And we had a spin-off company of the university that came out of the College of Agricultural Sciences that developed a product where you could take the leftover newspapers and turn it into mulch of some sort. We got the newspapers to match the profits of the company, with the idea being that it would all come back to support scholarships at the university. So now we are one of the major recyclers of newspapers in the country. It goes into a product that people find useful, and the profits come back to support scholarships at the university. Everybody won on that one.
So let's take a look at the score. Students are better informed. Newspaper readership is up. Newsprint that would otherwise end up in the waste stream has been kept out, recycled. The proceeds from that recycling are used to fund student scholarships. Now that's a problem solved. For In Motion, I'm Kurt Parker.